So this is kind of like the mental side to it, the mind side, and then there's the other side of it, which is the heart side. Why are you doing this? What are you doing it for? What inspires you? What keeps you up at night? What is the difference? What is the dent you want to make in this ever expanding universe of ours? What is that thing which motivates you, which keeps you like, which makes you feel alive? And that's the inspiration. So I think that when it comes to honing your voice, it's these two things. It's perfecting your craft, which is maybe like an external thing, but then the internal thing, which is like, why am I doing this? What is this for? And sort of once you have these two in resonance, that's where the magic happens. Yes, there are like those life decisions, those major calls that come maybe once in a couple of years where you have to make a decision. But I think that the opportunity to be creative comes every day. And I think if you're a creative person, it's important that you pick up that call every single day.
That's actually a point that I wanted to come next to. So getting into creativity is one thing, like realizing that, oh, I'm good at this. Say I'm good at filmmaking, or I'm good at painting, or I'm good at singing, or things like that. But it's a different thing altogether to hone your creativity. And there's a quote which says that, the difference between amateur and professional is that the amateur guy does it for hobby whenever his mood or he feels like doing art. But professional is someone who knows that, it's not always that you will find that inspiration. It's not 100% of times that you will be doing it with all your heart and soul at that point. So sometimes it is, there is that process that you have to endure, and you have to get to that point where it's almost in an autopilot mode kind of a thing. So what is your take on like honing your creativity and, finding your creative calling and finding your voice actually?
That's a really, really good question. And I think one that only an artist can ask you, because it's one of those questions. So anyways, like, I think that, all humans are born creative, right? Everyone is creative in their own way. You could be coding, you could be an investment banker, you could be an artist, a singer, a filmmaker. But I think that like the concept, or the way I think of it, is that all humans are born unique. And so that's what I was getting to in a very scientific deduction kind of way. So let's do it that way. Tribute to physics. So anyways, everyone's born unique and everyone is creative. So what does that mean? Everyone is uniquely creative. That means that everyone is, the way I'm creative is very different from the way you're creative. That's very different from the way Abhinandan's creative, right? So we could be in different professions, but even if you bring it down to the same profession, right? Like you look at different singers, they all sound different. They all have their own unique way of making music. You look at different filmmakers, they make different kind of movies. You can say, oh, this is a James Cameron flick. Oh, this is this family drama must be Karan Johar, right? Like everyone has that unique sense of their, like, they're, I think, uniquely creative. Gosh, that's a mouthful. And that's also known as your creative voice. So I think that the difference between an amateur and a professional is that the professional recognizes that, oh, like, I have this creative voice and I need to hone it. I need to make it perfect. And tuning that creative voice is what takes, that's where all the riyaz is. That's where all the practice, all the hours go into. So how did, like, Nolan's films are so different from anyone else's. And that isn't because, like, yes, he's different from all of us, but he spent hours perfecting the way to come up with to sing in his creative voice. And I think that that is where the practice, like I was saying, that is where the practice comes in. And as any creative being, what you have to do is you have to find that creative voice of yours, and you have to hone it till you know that you'll know when it's perfect, right? Like when you're cooking something, you instinctively know, oh, this is cooked, right? So you keep honing it until you know that, yes, it's reached that place. And the thing is, like any good artist, like your voice keeps growing with you. So it's It's like it's like it's like being in the Himalayas. You get onto one peak and then you find a peak that's even higher, and then you keep going, you keep going. So, so it comes down to finding your voice and then honing it to perfection in no matter the field.
Yep. So I think that's an interesting point. So how did we know in terms of, okay, look, this is how we need to kind of hone our creative voice, right? But in your case, and just wanted you to elaborate in terms of how did you really do that in terms of writing or in terms of filmmaking, that's something that you're into, right? So how did you kind of go through, and what were the interesting stories that you kind of, because in this whole process, right, of honing your voice, uh, mentors and people we meet, right, play a very important role in terms of how we kind of hone our voice, because we obviously cannot isolate ourselves. We are in a very connected world. So there is an environment around us that kind of helps us, stimulates us to kind of hone our creative voice. It could be people who we directly talk to. It could be someone when you're traveling, you kind of meet and then you say, okay, look, this is how it is. Or someone whom they're directly connected with something like writing or theater. Or some people could be not even connected to you, so you're just watching someone's movie and then you feel that, look, okay, that kind of vibes with my thinking, and then you go ahead. So in this whole journey of when you made the decision for the first time, right, saying that, okay, fine, I'm not going to this creative, I'm not going to this corporate world, I'm going to kind of take this creative journey to where you are now, right? What were the different points or the different high points or points where you felt it very interesting, or you met interesting people in this whole journey of your writing or filmmaking?
So I think you've asked like two questions. So I think the first question is like in terms of like honing your voice, right? Like yes, it's not just a personal thing. Obviously, so I see it as there are two ways to it. There's your craft, and then there's who you are. So your craft is the technical abilities, right? So your craft is all about, like in my case, becoming a good writer, learning how to use different, getting good at like story construction, story crafting. So that's the craft side of it. Or for a musician, it would be, getting good at his or her art. Like training the voice to reach multiple octaves or whatever. So I think that there's one side which is the ability and craft side. So obviously that is needed. That's a very important element of finding your voice. You have to perfect your craft. You have to get it ready. And then the other side to it. So this is kind of like the mental side to it, the mind side. And then there's the other side of it, which is the heart side. Why are you doing this? What are you doing it for? What inspires you? What keeps you up at night? What is the difference? What is the dent you want to make in this ever expanding universe of ours? What is that thing which motivates you, which keeps you like, which makes you feel alive? And that's the inspiration. So I think that when it comes to honing your voice, it's these two things. It's perfecting your craft, which is maybe like an external thing, but then the internal thing, which is like, why am I doing this? What is this for? And sort of once you have these two in resonance, that's where the magic happens. Again, I'm sure every artist has their own take on it, but that's like my personal take. And then the second thing that you asked me was, how did I get to these points? So immediately after I got that promotion, after I rejected that promotion, within a couple of months, I left that job because I knew, like I now knew it was time to go full time. I left that job, but before that, I was taking online classes just to make sure that, I knew that my technical ability, the mental side of it, was not where I wanted it to be. It still isn't, and maybe it never will be. But I knew that I needed to work on it because I'd done it for fun earlier. It had been a hobby, but now it was going to be the thing I do, and therefore I needed to get it. I needed to bring it to that level which I can see in my mind, but I don't have that skill yet. So I started taking classes. I took a couple of craft classes online, and then I took a couple of workshops thankfully there was no COVID then, so I took a couple of offline workshops as well. I got into a really nice workshop based in Bangalore, which is for budding authors, and I got really good mentorship there. And like, it really helped me with my technique. It was like an inflection point in terms of my writing ability. It really helped me. But then again, like, what did I want to write about? What is the difference that I want to make in this world? Why do I write? What kind of stories do I want to write? What stories are Prakrit, right? Like, when someone watches my movie or reads my story, they should be like, oh, this is such a Prakrit Kamra film. But what makes it a Prakrit Kamra film, right? What are those elements? What is that thing about me that I bring to this craft? Like, what is my heart? What is my inspiration? What is my, let's get philosophical, reason for being? I'm kidding. But yeah, and that takes time. Like, and like, I've tried writing across genres. So first I thought, like, oh, I should just try writing across genres and doing different things. And I've written across many different genres, like not just genres, but different mediums as well, right? And when you start putting those things together, you start observing patterns. So like, that's how I started finding my voice. Like, for example, one thing which is very, no matter what story I write, there is a heavy influence of nature and traveling. That's because that's who I've been my whole life. I've never really lived in one place, been all over. And my name Prakrit means that which is derived from nature or natural. So it's not just part of my name, or maybe it was a self-fulfilling prophecy, thanks to my parents. But nature plays a very strong theme in all of my stories. No matter where, it always plays a strong theme. And like, that's because that's who I am. When I think creatively, I do my best thinking when I'm like sitting under a tree or something. Kind of like Newton, except no apples fall on my head.
Yeah, I was about to tell you that.
I spared the viewers you saying that, so no, I'm kidding. But yeah. So, anyways, coming back to it, because I think I was getting a little lost. I think there are two sides to it. You have to hone your technical ability, but you also have to find that element, that inspiration, which makes that technique uniquely yours, and that is your voice. So your voice is not just like one element. It could be in the way you tell a story. It could be the type of story. Like, the elements will come, but you have to find out like the unique part of you, or you'll know it, because the way you imagine your art, no one else can imagine it that way. But getting it to that level physically, like making it a reality, bringing those elements, that's what your voice does for you. So
Yeah. So I have a question for you at this point, right? So you said bringing your voice, and now we humans are a collection of thoughts, basically. Like, we are a collection of ideologies, and like, we have been inspired by so many things, by the way we have grown, by the places we have grown, and the places we have lived in. Yeah. For example, like, for me, I want to be a filmmaker, but one of my inspirations is, say, Roger Federer, and he's even yours. So, and he's a sports person, but there is something about that which inspires you so much, right? Even David Foster Wallace wrote in his famous article of, like, Roger Federer, the religious experience, as to how his playing is more like a dancing, like a ballet dance, and how it is so pleasing to view. It's almost like an art, where the rest of the people are playing a sport. Here is an artist who is like painting a canvas on tennis court. So there are so many musicians and filmmakers and artists, etc. So who was like your inspiration? Like, who has kind of impacted your art that way? It could be that maybe you heard someone's music and you started writing a good story also, right? So who was that particular person? Who were that particular person who really inspired you?
Oh, that is a really good question, and it's a tough one, because I think that there are so many. I don't know if I could be able to hone in on one. Let's ask Abhinandan first while I think about this tough question. Abhinandan, who are your inspirations?
Yeah. I don't know. For me, as I think as an artist, I was really drawn into EDM, right? So EDM music. That's something that I've always been drawn into from college. Uh, love. I mean, the whole idea of there being no lyrics, right? And then you see these festivals like Tomorrowland or any of the festivals you go to, like you just see that and they're just kind of belting out this music tracks, and then people are going crazy, right? And there's no lyrics. It's just like some chords and then like some beat, and people are just like dancing away to glory for like an hour or two, right? And that's something that always connected me. So I felt EDM was more universal because obviously because there's no lyrics, you don't really have to understand stuff, right? But that whole thing of universality of music was something that always drew me into it. And then I kind of started DJing. My inspirations, I think, was Martin Garrix, and he's a very young DJ, right? Yeah. So I think he's a number one DJ for many years, right? But he was this young kid who was kind of in his room. He was creating music on his laptop, right? He was all of the age of 17, right? And then he came out with this amazing and this viral song called Animals, right? And then the world suddenly went crazy. And they were like, oh shit. And that kind of gave everyone the belief, right? And that gets back to the point that you were speaking about is if you kind of put in those hours, right? Anyone, I mean, literally anyone could do this. And here was a kid when the whole DJ industry or the scene was there from years, like people like David Guetta and all were there from years, Carl Cox, the legends of EDM were there. Here's a kid who's just 17, sitting in his room on this MacBook, and he's made this song, which the whole world, leave people in like a certain continent, the whole world is dancing to, right? And that's something that drew me into it. That's something that inspired me. Martin Garrix was such a big inspiration. I would listen to his music. I would kind of, with whatever software I had, I would do some here and there with mix music, right? And then obviously I went on to get, I tried to kind of be a DJ, but then kind of didn't work out due to studies, right? But then I did kind of get back into that, got a DJ set now.
But you have a DJ set now, that's what I was
then,
saying. Yeah. Pretty soon, gonna light up Bangalore.
Yeah. But yeah, I think as an artist, the whole idea, a person who has inspired me was Martin Garrix. And then obviously once I kind of got into the whole scene, more and more people, I've kind of started to go deeper and then realize that this is possible, right? And then all you have to do is kind of just make that first decision, put in those hours, and then kind of just keep putting out things that you love, right? Without pressure, without the stress of making people like. I mean, you should not be like, okay, look, I want to put something out that people like. Just put out something that you love, right? And then people will eventually like you, if not now, 20 years down the lane, right? So that was an inspiration for me. Yeah. What about you guys?
I'm glad like I pushed the question to you, and I'm just gonna say whatever Abhi said. So, no, I'm kidding. But I think that both you guys brought up like amazing points, because art is to be found everywhere, from the way Martin Garrix makes music to the way Roger Federer plays, which Abhinav, if you remember exactly 3 years ago, we were watching live. Good days, my man.
Yeah, exactly on this day also, I feel.
Yes, on this day. So
Seriously?
Seriously.
Yeah.
So
We were watching Roger Federer in Germany, Jerry Weber Open.
You watched it live, and then I watched it through live. No, I didn't watch it live. I watched it through your video that you guys put out on YouTube.
Oh,
Yeah.
You missed the finger we were giving you, but maybe next time. No, I'm
This
anyways,
finger, dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah, of
We're
course.
giving you a
of
thumbs
course.
up.
Yeah. What did you think? So,
Bro, thumbs up taste the thunder.
Thumbs up, huh?
So I grew up listening. So my dad listened to, like the Beatles, Elton John, Elvis Presley. I grew up listening to this kind of music, and like a lot of these artists, again, like had very different careers. And like I was inspired by music. I was inspired by theater. I was inspired by like when you're standing, and we've done this together, when you're standing in the audience listening to music, like the band is playing a song which everyone knows and the whole crowd is singing, and you're lost in that magic of that moment. Or that same moment can be caught when you're watching a film together in a theater, and the director moves you to tears, brings you to laughs, like changes your life, changes the way you think, brings that, like, everything good about being alive. Or it could be when you're sitting at a restaurant eating an amazingly made, or what restaurant, when you're sitting at home, your friends are there, your mom makes amazing puri or something, and you're all just like belting. There's that feeling, there's that euphoria that you feel, and that's there in every art form, in every form, in whatever you do, whether it's tennis, whether it's cooking. And I think that it is those moments that have inspired me the most, because when I'm in that audience, I'm like, man, I want to create this too. I don't only want to consume, right? I want to create this as well, but I'm not a musician. So you have to find what you can do, and it could be multiple things. Like Abhinandan, you're a singer, you're into DJing, you're also into acting. I won't say what kind of films, but you're there. So like it's not just about consumption, but when you also want to create those experiences, and that is what inspires you, and to do it in what you love the most. I think because if we find Roger Federer as a religious experience, think about how it must be for him, bringing joy to the whole world through his art, right? And I think that that's the dream. Be happy and bring joy to whoever watches you do your thing. So I think that's it, because you can find inspiration everywhere, and it'll be very hard for me to pick because it's across. So this was a strategic answer. This I'll admit. So, but it's true, huh? It's true. So
It is true.
yeah.
But see, we're talking about creating, right? One thing I wanted to ask you is, what are each of your creative processes? Because obviously, once you create, right, creating is one side of the story. Your creative process is the other side of the story. And I've been very fortunate that I've seen you both very closely in terms of your creative processes. And something that's similar to both of you is the way you guys are very structured in terms of how you create, right? But then just wanted to know more in terms of what is your detailed process, each of you.
So for me, I realized over the years that a lot of good ideas come in, and what happens a lot of times, what I used to do was I used to think over it, and there's a time when you're like, I don't think I want to do that anymore. So I think Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of Eat, Pray, Love, she says in one of her TED Talks that creativity is like that flying soul or something. When it comes, you better catch it before it goes off. So now that I realize, the importance of good ideas, and the importance of the thoughts that come into your mind. So I realize that I start to put it down on a paper first and give it a thought of how I want to kind of create that. And even now, I would say that I'm not I'm still in that phase where I let so many ideas go. And to some extent, that is fine, because you have to filter out, right? There is always a line, and there is so much of crap also.
As long as that line is tel mein jeera heera, whatever that was, I think you're good.
Exactly. You have to let the jiras and all the crappy ideas go away. But there are some good ones which you have to, evaluate and quickly make the decision that, hey, you know what, this is worth making into a proper movie, or this is worth making into a painting, or a DJ, like a proper, a song. So I make sure to write it down and create a whole process. And working in that industry where we create ads on a regular basis, so we have a proper thing of conceptualizing an idea, then scripting it, And then once the scripting is done, we kind of start shooting, then edit, and then there is post production and things like that. So my major, I would say my major, like the thinking and the creativity part comes out. Definitely shooting and conceptualizing everything is there, but editing is one part where I'm sitting with all by myself and I'm just evaluating, okay, this is good and this is like not what I assumed it to be, or like this is not what I visualized it to be like initially. So I edit like a lot, because I try to think from, okay, so Prakrit will be seeing my video, so what will he be thinking about it, so I have a lot of friends who are like critically very smart, and like people like Prakrit, Panda, even you, it's not always like, hey, very nice, very nice. There's always the other side to it, right? So you have to keep all the kind of audiences in mind and think what they'll be, what would they think of this scene when they watch it? Did the joke land? And things like that. So keeping all that in mind, the edit process becomes like really important. And sometimes you have to like really be strict with yourselves and like just cut the crap. Like, is it necessary? Is it adding something like at least 1% to your story? If not, then chuck it out. It's like those deleted scenes in The Office and things like that, not required. It's not like affecting the story in a very, productive way. So yeah, more or less that's what my process is like. Like there's no like set answer to it, but it's just what I do. That's it. So yeah, Prakrit, like we want to like really, I want to know about like what is your creative process, because like I don't know answer to this. I know that you're a very structured person and all that, but like when you're writing a story or a novel kind of thing, like what is the structure that you follow? Or yeah, just take us through it.
Well, I've given a tribute to physics. As much as I like it, I'm very glad I've left it. But I think it's time to give a tribute to management as well. So I think if you guys remember, since both of you have done MBAs as well, when we were learning about innovation, we were taught that there are two broad ways of innovation, right? Like there's the American approach, which is like big jumps. So you go immediately from phone to smartphone, a la Steve Jobs, big jumps. And then there's the Japanese way, which is, I think it's called Kaizen, but I might be wrong, but I'm glad if I've forgotten. So anyways, I think it's Kaizen, and it means continuous improvement. And then the lesson in innovation brings both those things together and says that, ideally you should have both. You'll have those moments where you jump from 0 to 100 right away. But then during lean periods, right, like you need to continually keep working. So it's almost like a staircase. Like, you have like a staircase, except the stairs are sloping upwards. So you're always moving. It's like this jagged sawtooth curve. Like you'll have those moments where you make those big jumps, but between those jumps, right, which take time, you need to continually improve. And that way you're always improving. Tribute to management, I think that is what I try to employ in my creative process as well. Because I think that, Abhinav, you were talking about Elizabeth Gilbert. I love you. Gilbert, not you. So, no, I'm kidding. So you'll have those days where, like you get this amazing idea and it's going to change the world. Like, remember what Stan Lee said about Spider-Man? Like, he just thought about it and like that was an incremental jump. Remember, he said like there'll be a lot of idiots who tell you like don't listen to them. You'll have those jumps, right? But between those days, you need to continually keep improving. So keep working on your craft, keep perfecting it, even if it's 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. I think Abhinandan, you were also saying that with DJing, just do whatever you can, right? Like you get 5 minutes. You get 2 minutes, 30 seconds, you get 3 hours, it doesn't matter. But keep working on it, keep working on your craft. Make those continual small improvements. And then when those big jumps come, make those as well, obviously. So, you're always improving, you're always getting there, irrespective of time, place, it doesn't matter. So I think, thank you, management, for that. And that is what I will take from you. But yeah, that's my creative process. So
it ties us back to like one of our previous episodes where we are talking about consistency and how consistency can lead to compounding. of results, like, and human brains are not like meant for processing the whole compounding and things like that. And eventually when we start doing one step at a time, like you said, two down one up kind of a thing.
Yeah, like it'll
So
happen as long as
yeah.
as long as you continue to tinker, and then those days when you get like wild ideas, those are like those big jumps, those quantum leaps. So
So what are your like recent plans of, like, now you're working to, so that you'll be able to pay for the film school. So like an HR, I will ask you, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
oh man, dangerous question after dangerous question. Well, I hope 5 years from now, you all are watching something where it says written by Prakrit Kamra. So I think if that happens, I'm happy.
I'll cry and all. Okay, I'll cry and all. I'll be like that proud friend. I give that crying feel.
I'll be crying too, but tears of joy, because that would be the dream. Yes, like in my personal journey, I am going to film school really soon, so I'm very excited about that. Hopefully, it happens this year. Pandemic. I mean, what is that word? I'm forgetting it now. But anyways, if the pandemic permitting, there we go, permitting. That was the word. So I'm going to film school. I want to, like I've tested my I enjoy writing. I enjoy writing stories. The medium doesn't matter, but I'm really inspired by film, because I think that it is the medium of our age. Like film has truly taken off. Like especially with the smartphone, point and shoot, indie filmmaking. We're reaching new heights, and I've got some good ideas. So that's what I want to do, and my plan for the next 5 years is first to get better at my craft, like the technical side of it. But I'm continually working on what I want to do once I have my technical ability at a place where I can write the stuff I want to or create those movies. So long story short, it's to get better, and hopefully in 5 years you will see something written by me on a screen near you. So let's hope. But I think the other thing which I really want is to collaborate with you guys, because we go long back and our journeys have been very different but also intertwined. We've been there for each other at these different moments. We've all seen that, and I think that collaborating with both of you, that would be a dream come true. I don't know if it happens in 5 years, 10 years, and we've always spoken about it. We've been talking about it since we were kids, and to do that would be a dream come true. Like not just my name, but imagine if there's something on something that's coming which is like written by Prakrit Kamra, directed by Abhinav Gorthi, and starring Abhinandan Bhargava as item song dancer. Heaven, my man, heaven. No, I'm kidding, guys. I've been continually trashing Abhinandan, but that's just because of the terrible one-liners. I've been listening for 11 years, but you guys who are watching, Abhinandan is one of the most creative guys I've met, and he's creative. Dude, he can. So he sings. He's now trying to be a DJ as well. And I remember even when I was studying physics and he was studying commerce, no matter what was happening in life, he'd always have creative solutions in whatever he did. Hint, hint, bringing his girlfriend into a boys-only campus. So proud of you, my man. So, no, but anyways, my point is you're very creative, and obviously Abhinav as well. But I really look forward to working with you guys, and I'm sure it'll happen. So
I think what one way that we all can collaborate is that maybe one idea is that we can have a documentary, right, of the three of our journeys, right, into this whole creative field. We can just kind of just start off with, okay, today what we are doing, right, and then probably some 10 years down the lane, when every one of us is really big, we can kind of edit the whole thing, and then we can just view the journey as a journey from where we started off, which is this Zoom call,
Brown Monday.
this podcast. Yeah. And then to the places that we are, right? And the whole in a documentary style, and then the whole documenting the whole journey that look, we were just normal guys, and then we kind of made it big.
Abhinav is so disgusted with what I just said, but on the opposite end, absolutely, man. Like,
No.
I think that, like even now when we reflect on where we started, like all of us are doing creative things, and it's just gonna get better over time as we get better at our craft. As we start, let's say, taking the world by storm. So, yeah, good days. What is that? There's something Stanley says. I think it's Excelsior, onwards and upwards. So yeah, as you can see, I really like Stanley's work. So
Yeah, I think like the greatest achievement for any artist would be like to inspire the next generation of artists and or budding artists, like or going to be artists, or people, or best would be like like creating artists. So yeah, people like Stanley, people like George R.R. Martin, people like Yanni, people like Roger Federer. They've just like inspired the globe. So yeah.
And the next generation people like Prakrit Kamra and Abhinav, Gorthi and Abhinandan and so on and so forth.
yeah, it feels good to say, right? It feels good to say Prakrit Kamra, artist or writer. Abhinav Gorthi, director. I'm just gonna make a joke again. Abhinandan, you can do your own. It's too hard. I'm sorry. That's what she said.
Yeah.
Oh man, this has been so much fun.
At the end, I think it all boils down to, like you said, Riyaz and the whole 10,000 hours, that so-called, what that Malcolm Gladwell talks about. Like, for example, like Beatles had a combined 10,000 hours as a band. So
I agree with you. It definitely comes down to practice, but I think that it also comes down to just do what you love. Life is too short, so if you do what you love,
Carpe diem.
you'll end up doing 10,000 hours anyways because you love it. So
Yeah. Talking about 10,000 hours, I think I saw it was some show that I forgot I saw on YouTube. They went to Billie Eilish's house, and then on the door it was written 10,000 hours, right? Similarly, I mean, she was just in a bedroom. She and her brother were making music to winning at such a young age so many Grammys, right?
and like if the pandemic's taught us anything, like life is so unpredictable, right? So
yeah,
yeah.
you just have to keep moving, man. That's it.
Yeah, but really this has been so much fun, you guys, just talking to both of you, talking about things that we love, and it's really been I was always excited to be on the show. So Abhinav, when you first asked me that, hey man, would you want to come, I was obviously like, yes, of course. And it's been such a joy to be here. I think I've like been smiling throughout. So if like nothing else, at least you can send it in for like a Colgate ad. 9 out of 10 dentists recommend this toothpaste. So
1 out of 10 recommends this Zoom meeting.
that one will be Panda, right? So anyway, sorry guys, inside joke, but that's one of our friends. Shout out to him. Anyways, but like I said, you guys are amazing creators, and to watch your journeys as well. I know you said it about me, but to watch your journeys and to have like this support system for me, where I know that my best friends who are also on very similar paths, who I always have, to count on, they've always got my back, and I've always got your guys' back, and like we're looking to collaborate in the future. I think that's amazing, and your show has been like, you guys have been so nice to me, so thank you once again for having me, and it's been a pleasure. And like, this is too much nice words, but I had to say it because it's true. So when I see you all next, I will definitely kick your asses, because this much diabetes हो जाएगा यार इतनी sugar के साथ.
No, but just turn that side, no, because I got your back.
Oh, you got it. Dude, I'm gonna kill you the next time I see you. Like, if I'm working out, it'll be to punch you. So get ready. You start practicing running. Go run every day. Cause like these bad jokes.
Abhinandan, you can climb on me and start counting 1, 2, 3, 4 like that because you can count on me.
No, but yeah, I wish you guys the best for this show. Thanks for having me. And
I didn't think of this like a podcast. I just felt this episode to be like a conversation that we wanted to be having for a really long time. Like a couple of months ago, we wanted to like really discuss this particular topic of like finding a creative voice, and it's really amazing. To have someone amidst your friend circle who is like really passionately following his or her dreams, and like seeing Prakrit go follow his dream in a very like structured way, like the management student, the physics student, the studious student that he was. So step by step, like that Japanese process that he said,
and American,
so
both.
Yeah, and American. So cosmopolitan process. So it's very not just nice, but it's also very encouraging to see something like that, because for me, like, I am in a creative process and I want to be amongst the creative people, and to see your best bud going in that direction, it's definitely an encouragement for me. And there's always like there's someone there whom you can like look up to, like, damn, even I should be doing something like this, and like I should be taking this kind of path. And not just that, but also like catching up once in a while and understanding.
You guys are too nice, man.
So
yeah. Abhinav, I'm looking up to you.
That's because they live on different floors.
Literally.
You'll see my asshole. Okay.
I think like thank you for like those words, but I look up to you guys as well. So I think as long as we're there for each other, I think it's good. So
yeah, enough of niceness, dude.
Yeah, man.
Like, let's be assholes now.
Yeah, please.
Pause,
Like,
pause.
Have my back, guys. Have my back.
Entire 10 years, I've never been this nice. Like, it's foreign to me. So,
Dude, that fool is like bending over and he's saying that you have my back. Like, thu.
Have my back.
Man. Anyway.
But thanks a lot. Yes, thanks a lot, Mr. Prakrit Kamra.
Yeah. Yesterday we couldn't have the podcast because Prakrit was doing chores.
Chores, such a thief.
yeah, man. Like, like there's a lot of creativity in mopping and sweeping as well.
No, I'll tell you, like, when you're mopping and sweeping, right, your mind is either like idle, you're thinking about something, or even if you're listening to like instrumental music or something, that is a time where ideas come. So like doing boring jobs, like I find so many types, like having shower is like a common place, where ideas come.
Dangerous place to go, my man. Let's just keep it to.
What's the craziest place that you got an idea, each of you?
Abhinandan is like asking dangerous questions now. But no, like in terms of mopping and sweeping, the most creative thinking that I do there is, what is the fastest way to do this with the least amount of effort? That's the only creative thing I'm thinking of there.
He's a Pythagoras, always looking for the hypotenuse.
Such a strategy fellow.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
Yeah, he learned
But
that. What is that optimum route kind of a thing that Bhagyas sir taught us in
Oh, you weren't
MBA.
sleeping then? My man, I'm impressed. So Abhinav holds the record. Guys who are listening, Abhinav holds the record for sleeping the most in class. Like, and the best part is, so there was another guy in our class who was related to a friend of ours. We'll call that friend X. But anyways, this dude, his name was Abhinav. And this is Abhinav. So I remember our economics teacher, he got so angry that Abhinav slept in every one of his classes. He went to the hostel warden and he was like, this guy, except he didn't say Abhinav, he said Abhinav. Abhinav has been sleeping. And that guy, Abhinav, got screwed by the warden, by like everyone. And, like he was all, like his face became small and everything. And the next time when he came to class, he was like dejected like this. And the economics professor like was trying to console him. It's okay.
No, the economics professor was consoling me because he thought that the warden blasted me, and he was like consoling me. That's okay, Abhinav. That's okay. Like, don't worry. You chant Gayatri mantra. that is good for you. You won't sleep in class and things like that. And the other guy was like, why the hell did I get blasted?
It was amazing. Thank you so much for having me. It was, like I said, it was an honor and it was also a lot of fun. So I'll see you guys in person soon once this lockdown ends.
Thank you so much, viewers and listeners, for tuning in today and listening to this particular show of the Right Now Show. And we are more than grateful to where the episodes have started reaching. And I think this is where we want to be, interact candidly with our guests and try to bring out the best possible output out there. So thank you so much for listening to us. If you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe.
These guys are awesome, so please subscribe.
Thank you. Yeah, please do. And the Right Now Shorts is also coming shortly. So all those episodes will be there in Abhinandan's channel, link in the description below. So please check it out, where we'll be talking about shorter topics, bite-sized topics. So if you are not someone who's into like listening long episodes, that's for you. Anyway, please tell your family, friends, everyone to subscribe as well. Have fun. Have a nice day. See you next time. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Hey, subscribe, family, subscribe.